The conversation about the icy territory of Greenland is heating up.
Representative Randy Fine filed a bill to give President Trump congressional authority to annex Greenland and make it the 51st state. West 2's David Jones spoke with Fine and a political analyst about the ramifications.
President Trump continues to threaten to seize Greenland from Denmark, a key NATO ally, by any means necessary. It's an opportunity he says he's not willing to give up.
Look, if we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
Congressman Randy Fine says his bill would give President Trump the congressional okay to move forward with negotiating with Denmark to annex or acquire Greenland and make it the 51st state.
We recognize that Greenland's a strategic asset. It's between us and Russia.
Fine says his bill is about national security first and foremost.
Most of the Russian military assets would have to fly over Greenland to get to the United States, but it's also a recognition of the trade routes around Greenland that are going to be used by Russia and China to potentially harm the United States. This would secure the United States and secure the hemisphere.
This would provide some congressional cover, to what the president has already said that he wants to do.
Aubrey Jewett is a political professor at the University of Central Florida. He says what would make a Greenland acquisition unprecedented in modern history is if the U.S. uses military action to take Greenland against the will of the Danes.
If we look at negotiating with another country and acquiring territory, then I agree, and I think most historians and political scientists would agree, we certainly have done that in the United States history.
Fine says Greenland's potential for independence would be a threat to national security.
And the idea that the equivalent of a relatively small town could take this huge piece of property and join Russia, that's a risk we just can't afford to take in the United States.
David Jones, West 2 News.
Denmark is planning a high-level meeting with the Vice President and Secretary of State on Wednesday.